Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I've just been to Winchester Lakes. It's a gorgeous spring sunny day. The herons are around, the fish are leaping. It's just really nice. And I'm going to talk about the solar plexus, which is the third chakra. So you've got the root just above the perineum, then you've got the sacrum, which is around the navel, and then you've got the solar plexus, which is between where the rib cage meets, upper rib cage, and between the belly button. It's right in the middle. It's where the actual solar plexus is. It's very linked to spring actually, because we all love getting out of winter, but spring can be a tricky time. It's a tricky transition for many because you come out of winter energy being very enclosed and the downward energy. It's very downward energy, inward energy of winter. I had a very long winter in England, and if you're watching this from another country, you may not have such seasons, or you may not have had a really bad winter. It has been here. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, the spring energy has come, and you think, oh God, great. And it is great to have more energy, and it is great not to be freezing and cold and rained on all the time. But it's hard if you don't know what direction you want your life to take, or if you struggle with expression, if you struggle with knowing who you are, if you struggle knowing what you want, if you don't feel in alignment in areas of your life, then actually it's really tricky, because it's a very strong energy. It's like whoosh, the plants are shooting up, there's lots of birth, lambs, deers, the energy is very powerful. So if it's confused within our centre, then it's blocked. It's not clear, and that can cause actually a lot of frustration and anger. So when we're blocked in any of the chakras, it's hard. But in this chakra, because it's the place of the will, it's very hard, because we might know we want something but not know what it is. We might know we want something but can't quite get it yet. We might feel something really strong and we need to share it, but we're not sharing it for whatever reasons. We struggle with that. We may not have a strong sense of self, which is more the sacral chakra. If we don't have a strong sense of self, then it's hard to know where we're going and what we want, whether it's a partner, work, travel, where we live, anything. If we don't know who we are, it's hard to know what we want. So you can see how the chakras link. Sacral chakra is our base, our root, our security, financial, emotional, community. And then sacral is our sense of self. And then as we go up, the solar plexus is about will and ego. So it's self-confidence, self-respect, self-esteem. It's all the selves. And the ego gets a really bad rap in certain circles these days, but that's kind of over ego. We're talking about the ego is a healthy thing to have. Being under ego means you don't try and get what you want. You don't think you're that great, and if you don't think they're great, why would you bother try and get what you want? Why would you expect people to give you what you want? So healthy ego is really important. There's nothing wrong with the ego. It's just over ego can be very aggressive and overpowering people. But if we're got a healthy ego, then we know what we want ourselves. It's like the word, I like it, I think the Japanese use it, self-mastery is more the term. So it's a discipline over ourselves, not others. And the colour is yellow, hence I'm wearing yellow. And the element is fire. Now, so yeah, fire can get out of control, can't it? It can rage, the overego, and then we can just have the kind of trying to build a fire and it's not quite lighting. That's more the underego. And the solar plexus transforms our fuel, our food into fuel. So it's important to eat good foods. You don't have to be an angel. Everything doesn't have to be organic, but just fresh food's really important, because in Curlian photography, which they use to take photos of the aura, they've taken photos of fruit as well using this methodology, and it shows that with fresher food, the aura is much brighter, and then it shrinks and gets lower and lower until there's not really much chi left in the food. And we're quite compromised these days with our soil is, how the air is, how our landscapes are. So it's a bit harder to get the kind of quality of food that maybe our parents had or our grandparents, but we can only strive. That's why the solar plexus is linked to the digestive process, the stomach, the small intestine, the liver, and the spleen. Yeah. So it's also linked with our gut feeling. Yeah, a gut feeling, when you meet someone and you just get a oh, and it's a bit of a no, or you get a ah, and you want to move towards, and you might not do either of those things outwardly, but you get a sense. And I think we're taught in our society to really not trust this, but actually it's crucial. And we now know there's a strong link between the gut and the emotions, the emotional field. And we know that good foods helps a lot with good gut, so this is really important too. So yeah, it's about striving for what we want in a balanced way. And it's the easiest one to block, especially because we all have to put up in life from when we're very young till we pass on to the next life, however you see that, with a lot of rejection, criticism. It could be on a personal level, it could be on a work level, it could be our kids. It's just part of being human. That will happen, but it's how we respond to it. Is it going to just make us shut down? Are we going to go, oh, it's pointless if you don't get that job, oh well, it's not meant to be, or I'm obviously not good enough? Or are you going to kind of take it on the chin? It's natural to be upset and then go, right, well, I want this and I know I can do it, so I'll go for another one. That is a really good, healthy solar plexus, and that's what you want to cultivate. And it's also taps nicely into the idea of, not being a victim to circumstance, because if we believe we have no power, that under ego or under power, then we start to take more crap from people. If we think if we don't think we're powerful, how can we feel important? How can we have self-respect? You just put up with stuff from people, whether it's your boss, your partner, your kids, anyone, any situation, and then you lose, and then that solar plexus chakra gets really blocked. And it's interesting as well because you can have super overconfident people who are compensating, where it's overconfident. There's confidence, overconfidence is just compensating for lack of self-esteem. But people who are underconfident can watch people who step out and take risks and think, and just feel quite critical of them. And actually, the trick is not to criticize people who are taking those brave steps, and just try to cultivate in yourself, because you're probably just a bit resentful that someone else has been bold enough to do it. I know I felt that in the past, so I think, it's kind of human, but it's a good way to work with, well, why am I feeling that towards that person? And I'm not using the word victim in a harsh way, I'm just in the way we see ourselves. It's surely better for us to see it as, right, what can I do? What am I capable of? Hopefully, lots of people can feel on a good day like you can just do lots of wonderful things, and everything's doable and it feels everything's manageable. And then you have a really bad day, and I know I'm incredibly up and down with this, and a bad day just where everything feels too hard, too pointless, it's not going to work, you feel quite negative. And so, yeah, and that's natural, but it's trying not to get stuck in that's really important. So I'm going to stop the video here. Solar plexus is a really important one for life focus and how we create our own reality and how we see it, and how that affects what we actually do and what we walk towards. Because there's a few more things I want to say, but I'm just going to stop this here because it's quite long. Okay, thank you.